Good afternoon. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, from 1 to 3 p.m. Central, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. So, a lot of you have been sending emails. By the way, send an email to Donna at donnasedge.com for any suggestions on shows you'd like me to do a little bit of research for you. I'll be glad to do that. Research is my middle name. I really love it. So, a lot of you, we've all been interested in what happened here in Alabama just a few days ago, and that's the Northern Lights, where we actually got to see the Northern Lights. Very, very rare event. So I'm going to talk to you about that. Done a little research for you, and this is from Mary. Mary said, Donna, let's do some research, and so I was happy to do that. But before we get started, I wanted to show this video to you, and this is an event that happened in Scotland a few years ago. So take a look at it, and so absolutely, we got to see some of this beautiful stuff here in Alabama. I'll be right back in a few minutes. So how beautiful was that? I would love to go up north and go to Alaska and see some of this. I'll do that someday, Phil, and I will. But in the meantime, we got to enjoy just a significant a bit of that. And again, the video you were just looking at, that was in Scotland. But we got to see some awesome things this past weekend. So Dr. Elizabeth McDonald is a space physicist, and she is at NASA at the Goddard Space Flight Center and one of the founders of the Citizen Science Site Aurorasaurus. So anyway, she has some input about this, and I think it's really interesting. Always been interested. And can you imagine the first people on Earth who saw this event? They probably thought the world was coming to an end, but it's just a beautiful thing that happens. So a question was asked, and this was posed to her, is what causes the movement and shape of the auroras? So constantly changing input from the sun, varying responses from the Earth's upper atmosphere, and the motion of the planet and particles in near-Earth space all conspire and cause different auroral motions and shapes. So from these motions and shapes, we can learn about the physics happening further out in space along the Earth's magnetic field lines. So I wanted to show you, these are some photos that I found on the internet. So take a look at this. And, Didn't change correctly. Okay, I'll have to get back when we go into a commercial break and let you see that was actually from my trees out here in the yard. But we'll have some pictures, I promise, of what we saw actually in Alabama. So what causes the movement and shape of the auroras? And what do auroras tell us about the Earth's atmosphere? All those things we want to know, right? So auroras actually tell us many things about the Earth's upper atmosphere, including its density, the composition, flow speeds, and the strength of the electrical currents flowing in the upper atmosphere. Now, I know what was told before, because our imaginations just go crazy, right? So before it actually, we knew the event was going to happen, and people were saying, oh, something's probably going to happen to our electricity. We'll probably be without electricity. Well, none of that stuff happened. As far as I know, we can only use our imagination as to what could happen. So in turn, these tell us about the Earth's magnetic field and how it extends into space and how it changes dramatically. So all of this is important for protecting our Earth, and spaceborne technologies from hazards of space weather, of which aurora is one part. So, do we have auroras on other planets? Yeah, I mean, that was the question I had. Okay, so yes, aurora indicates planets with magnetic fields and atmospheres which vary a lot compared to Earth. So probably, maybe, I don't know, we've had some hypothesis of this, an intelligent guess, which is what most of us have. So while the solar wind is constant, the Earth's sun's emissions go through roughly 11-year cycle of activity. 11 years, they say. So sometimes there's a lull, but other times there are vast storms that bombard Earth with extreme amounts of energy. And this is when the northern lights are at its brightest and most frequent. Again, just with the video you just saw just a few minutes ago. So lucky for aurora hunters, I think if Phil and I were to really retire, we've kind of part-time retired, never fully, I would love to go chase them, wouldn't you? So we're currently approaching solar maximum, which is predicted to peak between 2024 to late 2025. And we saw some of that. Scientists cannot pinpoint exactly when solar maximum will occur, but we know it's on the way. And again, we got to experience that. So currently, for solar cycle 25, by synthesizing all published predictions, the time interval for this cycle maximum ranges from late 2023 to early 2025. This is a solar physicist who predicts World Data Center Sunspot Index and long-term solar observations. It's called SILO, SILSO, and Solar Influence Data Analysis Center, and that's SIDC, told space.com in an email. So NOAA's Space Weather Prediction, the SWPC, recently issued a revised prediction that suggests solar maximum may occur between January and October 2024, and we hit it here in the month of May 2024. If you're planning an aurora hunting trip, now's the time, as the next 4 to 5 years will be the most favorable for those sightings. That's what this scientist says. Okay, so seeing the northern lights everybody talks about this. I want to do it before I die. That's on my bucket list, right? So with your own eyes, this is a bucket list item for astrology lovers and travelers alike. Fortunately, they may occur frequently. So I think we're going to get to see more opportunities for this. I mean, anytime something has happened, like a falling star, when we're here, we're going to have meteor showers. What do you think Phil and I do? We go outside, we get a blanket, because for some reason the weather usually gets a little bit cooler. So we'll go outside with a blanket, set up on the picnic tables, and just stargaze. And it's just a wonderful thing to do, where you can see all of God's goodness and all the things that God puts out there for us that we can enjoy. So the northern lights are happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, said photographer Chad Blakely. He's the owner of the Northern Lights Tour Company. And the name of that company, by the way, if you're interested, is Lights Over Lapland. But that doesn't mean they're easy to spot. You've got to be at the right place at the right time. So this is what happened. So we're hearing the prediction. We're going to have the northern lights in Alabama. And so Phil and I it's like sporadic. I mean, it could happen like once you're out there, but if you decide to go back in, it could happen to be even brighter. So we missed some of the really good, beautiful, bright lights. So what did we do? We would just peek out just every few minutes. No, you want to gaze north, okay? That's where you're going to see the magnificence. So what we saw, and it was pretty, was a lot of purple lights. And it was just, I mean, it's just so, again, so amazing to see. Now, the best place to see the northern lights is any destination within that auroral zone. It's the area within approximately 1,550 miles or 2,500 kilometers radius of the North Pole, according to the observatory in Norway. That's where the auroras most frequently occur, though the phenomenon can creep farther south, particularly along strong solar storms. And again, we got to see it. Now, if planning a trip to see the northern lights, they recommend at space.com. This is an astronomy. You need to find a voyage, okay, and make sure you're not being ripped off. So really do a lot of research when you do this. It combines the northern lights viewing, and then you'll also get lectures as to why. Everybody wants to know why things are happening, right? And also you can see the Norwegian coastline. I would think the most beautiful way to see these would be to find a coastline. Go that way. You can read all about it in several different articles, but let me give you the website again. That's space.com. I'm just telling you what we saw was breathtaking, and I can only imagine what it would be like in other areas. Okay, now within the zone, it's best to be as far away from city lights as possible, which we had no problem right here in rural Alabama, so that you can maximize the visibility. I know when we have those little meteor showers, we can get a really good view of them here. Now, when we were living in Charlotte, North Carolina, not so much because we were pretty close to the big city. So you can see those gorgeous things as they were happening. But it's pretty tricky to get into the middle of the Arctic wilderness, even with a guide. So it's best to base yourself in a destination with solid infrastructure. And here are some really good places right here. Fairbanks, Alaska. I want to go. I gotta. That's on the bucket list. Yellowknife, Canada. Tromsø, Norway is another good one. Also, the Abisko National Park in Sweden is another good one. Rovaniemi, Finland, and pretty much anywhere else in Iceland is an absolute wonderful place to go. The best time of the year to see the northern lights, though, is between September and April, when the sky gets dark enough to see the aurora. For northern locales, experience the midnight sun or 24 hours of daylight in the summer. The most action usually happens between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. What we saw here in Alabama on our area was somewhere around 1 o'clock when we saw some things happening, according to the Geological Institute of the University of Alaska Fairbanks. But that's the destination we want. So check local forecast as well, because you won't be able to spot the aurora through the clouds. So if you're having some rain issues, we were just blessed. It was just a beautiful, beautiful. Stars were out, no clouds. The best we saw was actually on Friday night. Saturday we got some, but not as much. Let's go into a commercial break. We shall return in just a few minutes, so hang in there.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to limonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Limon's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Limon's Mexican Restaurant. The Hatter Cafe and Country Inn is nestled in the northeast corner of Alabama the Beautiful in the delightful town of Mentone. We're located on top of scenic Lookout Mountain near Little River and DeSoto State Park and located only 5 minutes from shopping and restaurants. There is also a nearby community walking path and golf course. We welcome everyone through the doors and we are committed to outstanding service for all guests. At the Hatter Cafe and Country Inn, we invite people from all walks of life to come and get away from it all, enjoy the open spaces, treetop views, fresh, clean air, and experience Southern hospitality at its finest. We look forward to hosting you. To reserve a special event, or if you would love a special getaway at the Country Inn, you can call us at 256-634-2018.
Okay, so we're back from commercial break. Thank you again so much for watching. My name is Donna Fiesel. I am your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. So we're talking about the Northern Lights and how beautiful it was here in Alabama. Wanted to show you a few pictures I bummed off of some of my friends that they actually took. And by the way, they are saying that you can actually see the pictures much, much better if you look at it through a camera lens. You'll be able to see more of the bright lights, which we did not do. Wish we'd known that sooner. But here's picture number one. And again, this is in Alabama. Can you imagine, again, being the first folks in the world to see these beautiful lights? You probably thought, man, the world is about to come to an end. But again, you need to have a good clear night, no clouds, see the beautiful stars that were in the sky at that point too. So let's take a look at this one. I thought that one was beautiful as well. I mean, look at that. Okay, so it's just the beautiful lights, all the different colors that it's just beauty. And then take a look at this one. So you'll see some of the swirls. And again, some of it is just plain old timing. It's when you can get out there and get a good view of it. I'm going to show you the last one, then we'll get right back to the show and a little bit more history and a little bit more as to why this stuff happens. Look at that. I think my favorite is probably this one right here where you saw the green. It looks like, and then almost like an aqua color. And this one right here where you see a lot of the purple and a lot of that green in there as well. It's just a beautiful combination. And look at those rays that are going. It's almost like a beautiful day in the summertime where in the morning out in the country where you're going to see the sun rays. And then that one, I mean, you can't beat all of that absolute beautiful scenery. It's just gorgeous. And they say that it's just a fraction of what you'll see in other parts of the world. But according to the scientists, we're going to see more and more of these. So on Earth, the Northern Lights counterpart in the Southern Hemisphere is the Southern Lights. My question is about that. So they're physically the same and differ only in their location. As such, scientists expect them to occur during a solar storm, but sometimes the onset of one lags behind the other one. In other words, it's kind of hard to predict. So one of the more challenging aspects of night side aurorae involves the comparison of the physicists with the aerospace company Lockheed Martin, who specializes in this type of event, is telling Space.com, is really it can be predicted, but it can't be predicted. So while some of these emissions occur in both atmospheres, your northern and your southern, at the same magnetic local time, other emissions do appear in opposing sectors of the two atmospheres at different times. For example, pre-midnight in the northern hemisphere and post-midnight in the southern hemisphere. Now, This whole thing is due to part of the sun's magnetic field interfering with Earth's magnetic field. They kind of clash with each other. But research into the phenomenon is ongoing. So we know enough to know that it's beautiful, and it's a beautiful thing to see. Okay, so another aurora-like occurrence on Earth is called Steve, and it's abbreviated Strong Thermal Emission Velocity Enhancement. Never heard of that until I did some research. So like the northern and southern lights, Steve is glowing atmospheric phenomenon, but it looks slightly different from its auroral counterparts. Now these emissions appear as a narrow and distinct arc, are typically purple in color, which is kind of a little bit more of what we got, and often includes a green picket fence structure that slowly moves westward. So Steve is also visible from lower latitudes closer to the equator than the auroras. So that's where you're going to see it there, kind of mid there. So a 2019 study published in the Journal of Geophysical Research Letters discovered that Steve is a result of two mechanisms. So it's the mauve streaks are caused, that purpley looking color, by the heating of charged particles in the upper atmosphere, while the picket fence structure results from the electrons that are falling into the atmosphere. The latter process is the same driver of the aurora, making Steve a special kind of aurora hybrid. So let's talk about this just for a minute. So auroras actually occur on other planets too. Again, the big question, is it just Earth that gets to see this? That's all required to make an aurora an atmospheric and a magnetic field. So auroras have been seen in the atmosphere of all the gas giant planets, which is not surprising since these planets all have robust magnetic fields, said Jeff Register. He's an instructor of physics and astronomy at High Point University in North Carolina. So more surprisingly, auroras have been discovered on both Venus and Mars. That's kind of what I was wondering, both which have very weak magnetic fields, but they do have magnetic fields. Indeed, scientists have cataloged 3 different types of Martian auroras. One occurs only on the planet's day side. So you wonder how, okay, it's on the day side, can you see it? Another is a widespread nighttime feature, which is fueled by strong solar storms, and another as much patchier night side phenomenon. Now, the Hope Mars Orbiter, that's the United Arab Emirates, first time ever interplanetary mission, managed to capture the discrete aurora shortly after arriving at the red planet in early 2021. So the probe's observation could help scientists better understand this mysterious phenomenon. Now, Jupiter's magnetic field is 20,000 times stronger than that on Earth. So the giant planet's auroras are far more brighter than the ones that blaze our skies. I wish I would go ahead and do video of these so we could actually see them. In fact, I'll do a little bit of research for you and we'll see if we can find something. Now, as the Jupiter lights aren't just driven by the solar wind, most of the particles that cause the planet's auroras are blasted into space by its close orbiting moon, and that's called the LO, the LO, the most volcanic body in the solar system. Now, astronomers have even caught glimpses of apparent auroral activity in other solar systems. For example, 2 October 2021 studies reported the detection of radio waves that were being emitted by multiple red dwarfs, stars smaller and dimmer than our own sun. Now, these radio waves are likely associated with a sort of backward aurora, one that flares up near stars and is driven by particles released by close orbiting planets. And this is what the researchers say. Our model, and this is a quote, our model for this radio emission from our stars is a scaled up version of Jupiter and LO, with a planet enveloped in the magnetic field of a star, feeding material into vast currents that similarly power bright aurorae. And this is from Joseph Callingham, who is a radio astronomer in the Netherlands and the Dutch, and it's with the National Observatory Astron, and co-author on both new studies, said the statement. It's a spectacle that has been attracting our attention from light years away. Okay, I got a few more things I wanted to tell you about too. And this is the feeder planets remain hypothetical at the moment, but nobody has yet discovered any circling the red dwarfs that the team studied. But if Callingham and his colleagues are right, astronomers may have a powerful new planet hunting technique at their disposal. There's so much to know. So auroras are expected to be relatively common in the skies of exoplanets as well, but we have to get better looks for these faraway worlds to see their light and what it actually shows. I mean, what do you think about it? I'd be interested in knowing your thoughts. You can send an email to Donna at donnasedge.com. Now, let's talk just for a minute, if we have time, about the history of the Northern Lights. Okay, so though it was an Italian astronomer who coined the name Aurora Borealis in 1619 after the Roman goddess of dawn, Aurora, and the Greek god of the north, wind, Boreas, the earliest suspected record of northern lights is a 30,000-year-old cave painting in France. This interests me. I love history. Since that time, civilizations around the world have marveled at this celestial phenomenon, ascribing all sorts of origin myths to the dancing lights. One North American Intuit legend suggests that the northern lights are spirits playing ball with walrus head, while the Vikings thought the phenomenon was light reflecting the armor. It's the supernatural maidens who brought warriors to the afterlife. I think it's just a God thing, just to let us see all that beauty. Early astronomers also mentioned the northern lights in their records. So a royal astronomer under Babylon's king Nebuchadnezzar II inscribed his report as a phenomenon on a tablet dating to 567 BC. For example, while a Chinese report from 193 BC also notes the aurora. And again, this is according to NASA. So the science behind the northern lights wasn't actually out there until the turn of the 20th century. It all comes from Norway. So their scientist Christian Birkeland proposed that electrons emitted from sunspots produce the atmospheric lights after being guided toward the poles by the Earth's magnetic field. The theory would eventually prove correct, but not long until after his death, which was in 1917. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you learned a little bit. I know I did. I've got ongoing research going on this. So again, that's on my bucket list. If you go and take some photos, would you send those to me? I would love it. And I'll go ahead and put them out there for you. You can send an email to Donna at donnasedge.com. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.